Hello, everybody. Good evening to you guys. This is Vivian, and you are here at the Fulfilled Women Community Faith and Dreams. I'm so happy that you are here with me tonight. So, we have already a few people coming in, watching us live. Thank you for being here. And if you, we already have some comments in here. Okay, don't forget, you guys, to click the link above that says you are giving the permission to StreamYard to show your name because we cannot see your name. It just says Facebook user. So Facebook user, thank you for joining us there. Hello from Facebook user. So just make sure that you click on the link that says you are giving permission to StreamYard to show your name. Or else we're just gonna see Facebook user on the screen. All right. So good evening, everyone. Again, this is Vivian, and tonight we're going to have an interesting conversation. We have very special guests tonight, and we're gonna talk about successful living in times of trials. I mean, not the pandemic is like a huge trial to everybody, like globally, not just you, not just me, like everybody. But the pandemic is soon gonna be over, but trials are not going to be over. It's still going to be there over and over and over and over again. So, how can we live successfully in spite of all the challenges that we are experiencing? And so, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Okay, ayan, si Donna pala yan. Hello, Donna. So make sure you click the link so we can see your name in here. All right. So, wag na nating patagalin. I would like to introduce to you our guests. And I say guests because we will be joined by another guest. Guest, yes. Parang lesson natin yung kanina, plural nouns. Okay, so our guest, she's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur focusing on film financing, real estate, and mortgage lending. And she's also a licensed real estate broker and mortgage broker. And she is also a certified life coach with the John Maxwell team. And of course, aside from her career, I mean, professionally, she has achieved a lot. She is also very devoted to her family with her husband, Ferdinand Galang. And hear this, they have 5 children. I can't get over this when I learned that she has 5 children. And you'll know why. She still looks very young. Well, she's young. So let's all welcome our guest, LaDonna Galang, joined with Ferdi Galang. Hello, you guys.
Hi, Vivian. Good morning.
Good evening.
And let me give you an introduction to Ferdi. Ferdi has over 28 years of experience in film and television production, both on screen and behind the camera. Ferdinand has developed, produced, and directed movies and TV projects that span his professional career. He is also the pioneer in transformational leadership in Asia, and he is a John Maxwell certified coach, speaker, and trainer. Is the founding partner of Successful Living Summit Asia, which you hear a lot about from me the past few days, transforming lives through practical application of universal laws that uplift the human experience, positioning them to experience man's full potential. You guys excited about that? I'm sure our viewers are super excited about that. Hello, LaDonna, and hi, Ferdi.
Hi, Vivian. How are you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I know I have to ask, what time is it there?
It's 5
in the morning.
You woke us up.
I woke you up. I was your alarm clock today. I am so sorry. You see, I didn't know. I didn't know that it was 5 a.m.
No
It's all
worries.
good.
This
Thank
is
you
fun.
for this opportunity. Thank you for this
I
chance.
know, right? I have to say, LaDonna, I interview guests here once in a while at the group, at the Fulfilled Women, and your name is on my list. I just don't have the chance to like ask you to be in here in the group, but your name is there. So I'm like super excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
It's been a while. We haven't seen each other for like a few years already, but it's so nice to see you here. Why don't you say hi to our viewers first, and hi to the other side of the world because you're not in the Philippines, right? So say hi to our viewers and um make chika
Hello.
with them first.
Okay. Hi, kababayan. It's so great to be here on StreamYard.
Yes.
I'm actually not on Facebook right now so I don't see the chat. Should I be on Facebook?
Oh yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. We're gonna
You'll tell
see.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see the comments over here. And actually, they are starting to comment. And here we are again. Hello, LaDonna and Ferdinand.
Oh,
Wala
nice.
talagang name, the Facebook user. You guys have click the link above so that we can see your name. Yeah, and good evening from another Facebook user. And Donna said, it's Vivian's habit waking people from the US. I'm sorry. She woke up
Oh,
early yesterday. I
yeah,
am so
everyone's
sorry.
here today. So, what I wanted to say was, I miss the Philippines. Oh my gosh, we've been going back, di ba, for since 2016, and all of a sudden, pandemic, cut that. So it's so, oh man, talagang namimiss namin ang Pilipinas, and yeah, it's nothing like going back home. Every 6 months or even every once a year. I've been in the United States since 1985, which gives away my age.
I was gonna say I was about 2 years old then.
Oh yeah, I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was really like a big transition. I've always heard my mom saying we're gonna go to the Philippines. I mean to the U.S., but I never, like hindi mo naman, you don't realize it until you're actually here, and then you're like, wow, I'm not going back to the Philippines. Then 10 years later, I went back, and it was such a different experience. Then another, like, I think 10 or 11 years later, I go back, and it's another different experience. But just having, transition from being in the Philippines and then completely stopping your life there and then being here in the United States, it's, there's a lot that happens in a child's mind. But yeah, I was young, and I always recall in my dreams, like, was that in the Philippines or was it here in the US? And then, so nung bumalik ako lately a lot more times, that's when I remember, oh, it is from the Philippines. Like, there's some stuff in my mind like I recollect that's like,
It's weird because your dreams are still Philippine location.
yeah.
Natutulog ka sa gabi.
Yeah.
Bahay ko sa Pilipinas yun Or
Yeah.
sa Pasay yun Sa Cubao yun
I know. Or like the rocks and the mountains, I'm like thinking, I've never seen it here. So sa Pilipinas yun. And then when we go there, when we do our little excursion to go out and take our kids out, so we go, oh, that's my deja vu. Ayun yun. That's what I had, like I saw it in my dreams. Or yeah. So I mean, kababayan, Philippines have always never left me. It's always been in my heart, especially marrying another Filipino.
Yes.
Yeah, because here you're exposed to all different nationalities, but somehow you're still it's not like it's nothing wrong. It's just, for me personally, I'm close to my roots.
I love it.
Yeah.
Philippine made pa rin. Philippine
Yes.
product.
And I hear you still speak Tagalog. So if I speak Tagalog, would you guys understand?
Of course, yes.
Konti
Yes,
lang.
okay. Just checking. Baka mamaya salta ako na salta, hindi nyo pala naiintindihan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great to hear. I mean, it really won't leave your heart if your roots are in the Philippines. It's just not gonna leave you. You see, it's in your long-term memory. It just
Mm,
went
Yeah.
forward when you came back, but it's
Yes.
there. It's in your heart. It's in your mind.
Yes.
that's right.
So let's talk a little bit about you. I I I've read a lot. You actually have a very long intro that I had to cut short because it's very long. You guys are super successful. Just from the intro that was sent to me, you have accomplished a lot. So can you tell us about your professional career? Like how did you get into film? How did you get into real estate?
Okay. You want to go first?
Sure. Well, I started early because my father was an actor. So ever since I was a kid, exposed na ako sa film industry dyan sa Philippines. My father is Fred Galang. Used to be a famous, in the mid 60s, late to the late 80s. He was a famous actor alongside with Chorito Solis, sila Era, kasabayan na yun. And so, ano pa ako, siguro, I was even like 5 or 6 years old. I would always be in the sets already. So I grew up in the set and in the world of filmmaking. And eventually, it became my in college. I first chose computer engineering, but flunked my math subjects. So I think it became evident that I choose a career that is in line with what I grew up and what my family's business is. And when I took up mass communication, it just came so easy. So along with that and filmmaking, it became all throughout my life doing TV, movies, stage plays, and until now, we're blessed because when we got here in the states, we're still doing the same. Although, of course, when you get here to the states, you get to start with odd jobs, muna, and
Mm.
I find myself doing all kinds of job. My first job here in the states was a limo driver.
Wow, really?
Yeah, yeah. And then I went into the jewelry business. I went into the insurance business. So, but everything stirred back to my passion, which is filmmaking. So right now, that's what we're doing. Actually, when LaDonna said we went back to the Philippines in 2016, that's me going back to my passion of filmmaking because I wanted to shoot in the Philippines. So when we did that, we were able to complete 2 films, and then when we came back here, projects started to happen also, and
Wow.
I guess you just got to like start going after what you like and what you desire because once you make the step of faith, you know, things will open up for you. So that's
I
my
love
experience.
you. Yeah, I love hearing that story. Thank you for sharing that because I'm sure that our viewers would feel that inspiration too. Like you see, you first took a different course in college and you did do very well on it. And
Yeah,
if you are not very open minded, you're gonna say that wala na akong pag-asa sa buhay or things like that. But you went back
that's
to
right.
your first love when you went to the US. You did have different jobs, but you still came back, and
Correct.
it makes you fulfilled. That's actually why the fulfilled women came about, because I really wanted to help women to identify their passion, identify what they're meant for, and have the courage to actually go after it. Because for most people, they stop there at that point when you were in college. They weren't doing well at a certain space, and they're like, I'm not gonna do well in anything. But it's just not true. That is
That's
not
right.
true, right?
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's just the universe saying to you that you're in the wrong course. Come on, tapping you back. And that's what the failure is. Basically, when you fail, it's just another way of saying, you know, this is not the right way to the path that I'm supposed to go. So don't take it like hard, because it's a learning experience. In college, when I say I flunk my subjects, it was the first time I experienced, baksak. Because sanay ka na, madali, magaling ka sa mga subjects mo, and then pag bumaksak ka, parang disappointed ka and discouraged ka, right?
Right.
And, talk about chemistry. My son was just talking about chemistry. I told him, son, don't be discouraged. I took chemistry 3 times. The first time
That made you feel better.
yeah, the first time I flunked. The second time I passed, and the third time, because I transferred, my units weren't enough, so I had to take it the third time. Oh my goodness!
What? Oh my god.
So
No way.
yeah. So when you experience those kinds of failure, it's really like just opening up your mind that it's not the end of the world. You're still alive, and you gotta keep on keeping on.
Yeah, right. I'd always say that God is economical. Walang tapon in any experience that you have. You feel like I wasted my time in this, or I made a mistake. God will still create a beauty in messes. And so God is economical.
Yeah.
Walang tapon with God. You're
Yeah.
still gonna learn, and God can still use every experience that you have, even if it's a painful experience, even if it's a messy experience. God can turn that around, right?
Right.
But tonight's topic is about trials. And life is full of that. Life
Yes.
is full of
Yes.
trials. So maybe we could dig deep a little bit about some of your experiences about trials. Maybe you can share with us some personal experiences, hard stuff that you have gone through in your career, in life.
Yeah. Besides like transitioning or failing at something, sinabi niya nga, it's like hindi naman, it's not the end of the world, and we're every day is a trial. I mean, just waking up, some people, like, for me, I notice, and
Waking up is
I'm
a
aware.
trial.
I'm aware. No, really, dito sa America, it's some people,
It's a struggle.
I've experienced, like, do you wake up? Or do you just stay in bed? Especially with the pandemic that happened, like, there's so many things that that goes in your mind. Pero one of the things that I noticed about myself is that all throughout my life, there's always, waking up is a big thing. Like, because my mind is always processing things. I don't, like, always thinking, right? This mind is always thinking, it's processing, it's aspiring, it's dreaming, it's always wanting to do something. Or it's on a negative note, it doesn't want to do anything. It's thinking, it's processing, but on a very low level of life, like, when I talk to people, when I'm talking to my clients, usually it's always about, like, problema,
Right.
I know, and it's like, and that's one thing that every day, you get talked to about their problems, and I'm just so happy that I've been created to, like, solve, or I feel like, okay, so I'm in a position of solving problems. So I think, yeah, talking about trials, I think the first thing for me is that, like sabi ko nga when I wake up, do I think happy and awesome thoughts for the day, or do I think like, my gosh, today ano na namang gagawin ko? So many responsibilities, like just the things that I put myself into. Pero you don't have to think that way. You could think amazing things, like talagang, like it's just a shift in your mindset that, you know, you know, first thing in the morning, it's a lovely, amazing day. And I believe having that mindset of, having that amazing thoughts or thoughts of talagang magandang araw today. Today, talagang maganda ang araw ko. And it just will be. You just walk into that path na magandang araw mo. Now, there's also like being aware of your thoughts. Being aware of like, kasi ang trials naman is how you see it, how you perceive it. Hindi naman siya like, ang mga problema natin is not like, sometimes it seeps in through like, hindi natin na-recognize problema, pero then you name it, it's a problem, right?
When you label it.
When you label it, it's a problem. As simple as, anong kakainin ko this morning? Right? Anong breakfast ko? Or, I mean, I love the Philippines because breakfast is always served majority of the time. Like,
Yes.
I don't know. It's, that's one of the things that like, it's so good over there.
It is.
Do it yourself. Think about it and do it yourself. Get all the kids ready enough for school, and then think of what they're gonna eat or what, and then prepare it and then go. I mean, my experience has always been in the Philippines that it's a better life. Like if if you can afford it, it's majority of the time. But
We have a special guest. You want to say hello to our viewers?
That's your power.
Hi, Shopao. I love your name.
Shoppa, come up.
Hi,
and say hi.
Shopao.
Since nandito ka na.
You,
Since nandiyan
you
ka
don't
na.
just have 5 kids. You're also fur parents. My goodness,
Oh,
how
yes.
do you
Yes.
how do you
The
manage your
pandemic.
time? I can't wrap my head around your schedule with all the things that you do.
Yeah.
Just to pick up from that, LaDonna, I learned from my husband to be solution oriented and not problem oriented.
Yes.
Because in my past life, I am very problem oriented. Okay, I sometimes have relapse, but now I'm learning. Now I'm learning to be solution oriented. I learned that from him because I always see problems as problems and I cry over it and I get emotional over it and it ruins my day. But if you are solution oriented, instead of thinking about the problem, you think about the solution. Okay,
Yes.
something happened. What can I do about it? It's not like this is so painful. Not like that, just like what you were saying, that when you wake up in the morning, you have a choice. You can choose to tell yourself that today is going to be a happy day, or today, my choice is I'm going to do whatever I can to fulfill the things that I need to do today. Or, it's a choice. It's always a choice when you wake up. But yeah, trials just don't go away.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
problems are a sign of life. If you have problems, that means you're alive. So everybody has problems. So my question is, what do you think is, let's say, the most important characteristic that a person should develop, I guess, so that you can overcome trials easily?
Besides having that positive attitude,
Right. Yeah.
and being solution oriented.
Right. Okay. So we have two already. Let's add more to the list. You guys take down notes.
You know, like just characteristic. Being awareness is key. I think awareness, kasi I think for me, talking of my experience, I can say, sorry.
Hi, Shopao. I think he has an answer. He has something to say.
Yeah,
My daughter is laughing.
You can bark about no. You can bark all the time about. I think key is being aware. Awareness.
I love it. Awareness.
is key.
Okay, let's add
The
that to the
reason
list.
why I say that. Why do I say?
He's agreeing.
Yeah.
That's Biko. Insta Siopaw, ito si Biko.
Biko.
Is that a joke?
No,
It's really Biko.
yes, Biko.
Yeah, he's a gray cow. He's a gray chow.
The other one is Bibingka.
So we have 3 chows in the whole pandemic event. My kids really wanted dogs, pups, and we got Bibinka first. Then now Biko's the one talking a lot, and then Shopao is the little cream one that.
That is so funny.
And it's our kids who named them. Sabi ko, like, what do you want to name them? You can name them. Yeah. Oh, Bibinka. Bibinka? Really? But she's a cinnamon chow. So, awang ko mga bata.
That's good. That's a good name for me. So anyway, going back to awareness.
Yeah. So awareness. I say that because I personally have to be aware of myself, like my thoughts, what I'm going through, and the reason why I say that as well is because majority of my thoughts or what I'm going through is do I think of it coming from the external, like because somebody did something, because I feel this way, because eto nangyari, therefore eto na naman, the situation or problema or the trials. I don't believe, I don't believe that yung trials natin, nangyari lang kasi because of someone else, or because parang externally there's always something or somebody to blame.
Right.
Pero the reality or the truth for me is that it's me being aware of me and my thoughts and what's happening that drives everybody else. Hindi yung, like before, hindi ko alam kung ano nyo, like, if you ever had an experience where parang, di ba there's movies that says like, parang isang, like, this is a big, huge world, and then here's you, like a dot, right? And then everything else around you, parang, you get pulled left and right because of everything or what's happening in your surroundings around you, or so you base your decision on that.
Mhm.
Pero so for me, being aware means waking up to the reality that ako ang magde-decide, hindi na
Right.
yung iba. Especially coming from Filipino family, I think it's parati there's so many we respect so much of our elderly's opinions and thoughts and this and that, that we want to always please them, taking away what we really want for ourselves, taking away what I really want for me. Um, am I happy? Am I satisfied? Am I fulfilled
Mhm.
doing that? Or the other way around, where you just kind of like
Go with the flow.
go with what I want to do. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
pwede ba yun? Sometimes it could be a big, massive, bad conversation, depending on our where we come from, our parents, you know, especially that we live such close ties with our family,
Mhm.
that you know it seems like my their opinion drives my life. um so that's kind of also part of the trials, kasi parang hindi tayo like decide
Dependence,
what
which
is it
I
really.
really, yeah. And I really think that a lot of our viewers can really relate to that because of our Filipino culture. And you both know that we are very family ties. We are so close with our family that somehow we let other it's even hard to say that, but it's the truth, but we let other people control our lives. We let other people decide for our lives. What we don't realize is that we're 30 years old, we're 40 years old, and we're still letting other people decide for our lives. And it's not how it's supposed to be because you are in the right age. So is really a key. It's so important. So we have positive thinking. We have what was the second one? Did anybody take down notes?
Solutions.
Solution
Solution
oriented.
oriented,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for
you
the
know
solution oriented and awareness. Super important. I have to say that I didn't grow up to know awareness, to have positive thoughts, to be solution oriented. I didn't grow up that way. And so when I got exposed to personal development, when I got exposed to seminars and workshops about mindset, like there's so much I need to learn. I realize that there's so much to improve in my life. And so, 4 years ago, which is the time that we met in 2017, I hope it was right because I was pregnant at that time. I was gonna give birth in a few months. My little boy is sleeping. I hope he could say hi to you, but he's already sleeping. But he's not little anymore. He's 4. So can you imagine? It's been that long.
Oh my
So
god.
yeah, and that was SLS, Successful Living Summit. It has changed my life. That changed a lot of lives as well because I've invited a lot of women here from the Fulfilled Women, invited my family members. I have cousins, I have office mates who have attended SLS and their lives have changed. So
That's
can you
great.
tell us a little bit about SLS, your own experience? How was it?
So, okay, I was actually, I myself was probing because a friend of ours in one of our group meeting, we're talking about SLS, and I thought, what is that? And then parang secret siya, and I said, I like ibang lahi siya, and he's a male guy, and he's very nice, and I'm like, who? It's not ever to. It was somebody else that we knew together in a different situation or venture. Um, so sabi ko, well, I want to know about that. What is that? This weekend, dito, they're having, SLS and there's graduation, and I want to know about it. And then like, hindi niya ako binibigyan ng information. And finally, well, I know it was one of those. And I'm like, finally, uh, he told me about it. And then sabi ko, okay, I gotta sign up. And then I want to go. And then he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Oh,
So I like created, I made up something to bring him along.
You're a good enroller.
So and then when we get there, of course, you had Diana in your
I haven't done final
Okay.
summit. Yeah.
so we have our trainer Diana, and then Ever, and it was just blows our mind, like, to think in a different manner, to para bang it disrupted your programming, kasi we all, as growing up, we get in this very I mean relaxed, I guess, automatic thinking na it it's it doesn't, it's like we're asleep, like, it's, when I say automatic, sometimes when I'm driving, I'm telling my kids, sometimes I'm driving, I feel like I'm asleep, like it's just, I'm sitting in behind my car and I know where I'm going, it's playing out in my mind, I know exactly where the streets are, until you get in an accident, that's when you're like, what was I doing? It's kind of like that, where you're automatically doing the things that you're doing without being aware, without being, discovering. You it doesn't seem like you're discovering until we experience SLS, and then I'm like, oh, first for me is my choice. I said, I have a choice.
Right.
And that's why it was one of those liberating, para siyang freedom. Like, okay, because, I always had that. I just never thought about it. I never, hindi, it's one of those where hindi mo, you don't put any thought to it. Hindi mo binibigyan ng, what is it? Then importance.
Right.
My choice. I think probably before SLS, parang it was automatic. You grow up. My family is this, and then you fit yourself in that mold, and then you go with what they want, and then up until like being waking up and realizing, sandali lang, hindi naman pala it doesn't have to be that molding. I could be whoever I want to be. I could like make my choice. They may not like it, pero it's just a communication, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes kasi, I don't know about you, pero sometimes it comes out wrong. Like, when
Yes.
when I'm making my
Yes.
choice, sometimes parang rebelde or what. But, it
You're
doesn't
not thinking about your family or other people. You're being selfish.
yeah. Actually, it's like, I'm always thinking about you and what you want. What about me and what I want? I'm living this life. I'm living with the issues of life. And ayun nga eh. So basically, just having those like the keywords are discovering, right? Discovering who I am, and discovering what I'm capable of doing, and the choices that I can make to impact not only me but my close surrounding, and to not think or worry about the naysayers. I think majority of the time, for me, I'm thinking always of, anong sasabihin nila? Anong sasabihin nila? why? I broke away from that, um and that pressure in my life. And and I, having 5 children, I have to do the same way. I get to break them away from the mold that I may have created. There are things that, like, I want to see as a parent, pero it's all the time we're reminding them, you guess what, you get to do whatever you want to do. You don't want to go to school, okay lang. uh
There are consequences and rewards for
yes,
everything.
hindi ako di ba, hindi akong,
Right.
I will not live with that consequence. I will not live with the grades you will get. I will not live
Right.
with, you
I
know
like
so hindi ako yun. Kumbaga, I made my choices already, and now I want you guys to make your own choice. um that's one. Then, as life, again, ang pinaka key for me is that labeling it, diba? Like labeling trials, labeling pandemic, labeling problema, labeling, um, everything is a label. Like, we call it something. We're always calling it, we're always naming something. And once we name it, parang it molds to that characteristic. If,
Mhm.
like, very common, as parent, if one of my child, ano ko pa I'm very cautious about, like, if one of my child is like, sabi, like, hindi mo gusto yung character, sabihin mo, maldita, or you label a certain label, and then as soon as you speak it, it they go in that, nakikita mo pa parate, talaga, it's like it's proving itself to you na what you called it, nagiging nangyayari. So, that's one of the things that part of my being awareness is that shut my mouth, don't say anything, let them go through whatever it is they're going through.
And do
Kasi,
not label.
yeah, and do not put a label.
I actually have a story about that because my son, would I but sometimes I'd say na, kulit-kulit naman ito. So I would say, I would talk to him. I brainwashed him that he is a good boy, na mabait siyang bata. I brainwashed him that he is a good boy. So at some point in his childhood, when nasabi ko lang, like accidentally, I said that, ang kulit-kulit mo. He would cry because I am not makulit. I am mabait na bata. So he embraced it so much that he's a good boy. So when you say that he's makulit, it's like, that is not true. Because I wanted him to be a good boy. So when he's doing something that is not aligned with being a good boy, I tell him, you know what? I don't think good boys do that. And he's not going to do it again because he knows he's a good boy and he's not going to do that. So labeling is really important. And it changes the course of your life, your children,
Yeah.
And
Right.
just going back to what you said about awareness and understanding that you actually have a choice. You have a choice in your life, and it's not being selfish, like not thinking about other people, what they will say. But I'll do what I want. I guess it's really a question of what does God want what does God want me to do in my life? Because I'm sure that God wants you to be the best woman that you could ever be. God wants you to thrive. I mean, not just financially abundantly, but to thrive that to be a shine and light and a salt to all the people around you. So if you live in fear, so how can you boldly become the woman you are supposed to be? If you're living in like just dependence, how can you shine and rise above if you are hiding, you know? So
Yeah.
it's really a question of what does God want for your life, right?
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm learning all these things about awareness, about having control, about labeling. Many of those things I also learned in SLS. So we are actually about to end. We're just gonna wrap up. But I want you guys to invite our viewers to join SLS. I've been talking about it for the last few days, and I know a lot of our friends from the Fulfilled Women community have been hearing me say a lot of things about SLS, and it's because I it has transformed my life in the life of a lot of women even here. You see, I think this is Ria. We have another Facebook user. I agree, LaDonna, SLS is liberating. She actually has another comment about your dog's yummy names for me.
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining us live here. Okay.
All right.
Before I give the floor to you, somebody wants to share. We actually have another co-host. Do you want to share anything? Okay. She's like, I want to share something. Okay.
Sure, sure.
She's gonna share something. Is it what do you want to share?
Like about about feeling that I want to be a host. I want to be a host, but I get shy. So that's about my failure that I try and try.
Oh,
Yes.
you just want to be shy.
And it's
Even
okay
if
to be
you're
shy.
shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I'm
can want
shy
to be
too.
shy, yeah.
I'm shy.
I like shy people.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing and thank you for keep trying because that's important, right? You just keep on
Very
trying. Thank
good.
you. High
Yeah.
five.
You be a host.
Yes.
Yes.
Great host.
He's my co-host all the time. So
Wow.
LaDonna and Ferdi, you guys want to share something about SLS,
Yeah.
invite them. And I know it's hard to say, what are they going to expect? So, I don't know, whatever you want to tell them about SLS and invite them to join.
You're gonna expect whatever it is you're looking forward to for yourself. I think that's the best summary of it. And you're gonna expect everything that you thought of, whether good or bad, it's going to reflect back to you in a manner it just recalculates your thought. It realigns you, or it renews your perspective, moving forward in life, in sa everyday buhay-buhay natin.
Yes.
Yeah. Experiencing SLS for me is like, you know, Neo unplugging, in the Matrix, because we all live in our matrix, and it's all programs of this world, of this society of people of influence, and little do we know that we are limited by that program. And actually what we need is actually take the choice, the red pill, the blue pill, right? Jump in. And when you experience that, you'll realize that there's so much more, and you have enormous potential in you, so that you can conquer whatever. Kaya si Neo pag ganun na lang, di ba? Because he already knows how the matrix works. And that's what the world is really. When you talk about trials, when you talk about going through difficult times, it's the purpose of that is more of the best in you coming out, because without these trials, the best version of you will not shine forth. And it's just through these trials, that's why thank you for the trials. You know, the trials are there to enhance you, to wake you up. You know, as LaDonna said, it's a disrupt. You know, because
Right.
you've been
Yeah.
living in the program, you've been living in this matrix, and something has to happen to disrupt you. And those are what trials are designed for. And through these mindsets and you know, concepts that is taught in SLS, it's what I call an upgrade. You know, it upgrades your mind to
Yes.
Ferdi 2.0, right? LaDonna 2.0, or whatever version you're in already, until you reach your highest potential while you're here on Earth. You know, life here on Earth is so precious that every experience should be a learning experience, and it's more of knowing who you are and experiencing life to the fullest. So
Yeah.
I invite everyone to join SLS, and it's a great experience. It's gonna be worth your time, worth your money, worth your effort, and you're just gonna, you know, come out of that event saying, "Wow," and I want more. You know, let's go to the next level. It's always going to the next level, higher and higher in life.
Yes. And that's
Yeah.
going to be, so we have Summit Virtual Asia training in November 12 to 14 coming up. And do I have the times? Okay, so Friday, 10 a.m. Philippine time, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I would say block those dates because those are a scheduled event for you. You know, it's for you, para sa'yo, for you.
Yeah,
Para,
invest in yourself.
yeah. So that was,
Yes.
yeah.
And you do hear that a lot from me. Invest in yourself. That has the highest ROI if you
Yeah.
invest in yourself. So if you guys are interested to sign up for Successful Living Summit happening on November 12th, 13, and 14, so that's 3 days, just go to www.successfullivingsummit.com and then you choose Asia and then you can sign up. Or if you have questions, you want to clarify a few things before you sign up, you can go to Facebook and look for SLS Manila or Successful Living Summit. And we are also on Instagram, so you can also message us there if you're still on the fence, if you want to join or not join and you just want to have some clarifications, just feel free to message those avenues, or you can send me a message and I will truthfully and honestly share with you my own experience, or if you have questions that you want answered, I'd be happy to share my own experience and share my advice or tips for you. So there, thank you so
Yay!
much. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Vivian.
LaDonna and Ferdi,
You're welcome.
for being with us tonight. It's been a wonderful conversation. I know this is something that has to be talked about, you know, like awareness and in standing up for yourself and trials. I love how we are ending this with what Freddie said, that, you know, trials help you. It's actually there to help you. It's not to put you down. It's going to help you and stretch you, make you a better person, help you grow. And that's what
Definitely.
trials are for, to help you grow. So if you are going through any trial in your life right now, think that this is probably God's way of telling you that God wants you to grow. I want you to grow. So again, thank you so much, LaDonna and
Thank
Ferdy. I hope
you.
you have a great day ahead of you because
Thank
we
Likewise.
are
you.
about to
Thank
sleep.
you.
We are going to bed now. I'm gonna put this girl to bed. So thank you again, and thank
All
you
right.
for all
Thank you, Vivian.
who
More power
joined
to your
us.
show. Bye bye,
Thank
Thank
you.
you
baby.
for having us.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.